is muted on mine.
Oh, okay. Is this working?
Sorry, it's not showing as paused on mine.
No, I mean, hold on. I'm talking to chat now. Is this working?
Oh, okay. All right, chat. You know what to do. If you can hear us now, say banana.
Okay, thank God. The when you start a stream station, you start muted by default. So first we
Uh,
had the wrong input. It was routing through my controller, which was not taking any input, and then it was routing through the right microphone, but it was muted. If one more thing goes wrong, the stream is done.
well, the good news is we've got the banana gang.
Yeah,
So
Banana Gang, rise up in chat. Oh, Christ. Okay, apparently we're very quiet. Let me just up the fuck out of this gain.
yeah, let's do it. My
Oh,
robot is
boy.
overwhelmed.
Zoinks.
Yeah. Wow. Jeez.
Well, let me get pop-out chat going here.
Yeah. If there's a way for you to make me louder, that might be the move.
I can do
Apparently,
that. Yeah,
yeah.
let's
Yeah.
try that.
Yep.
Okay.
How are we doing now? Can the good folks at home hear me?
Yeah, let's adjust Red's volume here because she is coming out of my computer and going into the microphone, whereas I'm just yelling in the microphone. So if Red is good, we can
Hello, humans.
keep going with this 42-minute disaster of a stream. Otherwise,
It hasn't been that long. We started late, remember?
true, we did start late because we had other problems.
Everything's chill.
All right, Red
Yes.
Red is good.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Cool. Let's Christ. Let's keep going.
Let the journey continue.
To the mountain. Wow, okay, thank you, Rosa, for putting that knife in my face. Where am I going? I'm going
All right.
this way.
We've got the Indigo seal of approval in the private chat. Apparently we're good and everything's going to be fine.
I will actually need to turn on the mini-map because this mission has been going to a bunch of random places. Options. Hood. Minimap on, because it's not even telling me to go to, like, specific buildings. It's just, like, go to this random spot on the map for no reason.
Now is not the time.
So who's this precocious pickpocket?
As far as we're aware, a thief named Rosa, who was for some reason trying to get into the same building that I was trying to get into, because that's where the bad guy, Emilio Barbarigo, is, who's been, like, evil and is, like, abusing the merchants or something, not clear. And when we were, like, trying to scope out his big fancy house, the Palazzo della Seta, we saw this lady just, like, straight up yeet herself over part of the wall, doing a climb trick that we are not able to do, and Ezio is like, oh, I need to figure out how to do this climbing trick. And then Rosa got shot in the leg with an arrow, and she's like, hey, you big dumb idiot, help me. So Ezio dutifully picks up Rosa and takes her over to unclear, a random spot on the map, and we go from there.
At this point, like, we're well past it, but it was so funny to me when you started the fight and just fucking dropped her.
Yeah, that, what happened was I got attacked, and then Ezio just fully dropped Rosa.
But yeah, guys, my setup's different right now. I don't have access to my mic, so I'm coming through my computer mic, and then I'm getting routed out of Blue's laptop speakers. So that's why I sound like a transformer right now.
It's janky, but it works.
Yeah.
Ooh, I gotta go
Also,
this way.
now that we're streaming directly from the PS5, if we wanted to tempt fate, we could theoretically try and up the video quality a little bit, but like...
Oh,
we do not have to.
actually, yeah, let's do that.
Okay, well, it looks mostly fine. It's just sometimes when we, like, whip the camera around, we get some of them pixels.
Resolution. Oh, it's on automatic resolution. Okay.
Okay, so it's just doing that on its own whims. Okay, cool.
Cool. All right.
All right, let's unpause the stream and get back to it.
Yeah. Cool. And the nice thing is that it, when you open up your menus on PlayStation, it will block everything out, so it doesn't just like surface all your menus and nonsense for the world to see.
Yes. Like, no, those are private.
Only I will know how much Ghost of Tsushima I've been playing the past month.
Oh man, that was one of the funnier moments of one of the semi-recent Let's Game It Out videos where like it pops up a little alert of like, you played this game for 28 hours. And he's like, don't tell them that.
Yeah.
Thanks, game, for spilling all my secrets.
Can I? Yep, I'm not even gonna kill people, I'm just gonna drown them. If they can't swim and they live in Venice, that's a them problem.
Give me a little bit. I love how all the curses are in Italian, but then with a little parenthetical, like, in case you were wondering what that meant in the subtitles.
There we go. Nice and clean. Ezio's, trash, cleanup service. It's just yeeting a bunch of people into the canals. I mean, like, granted, this probably would kill them, because whatever's in that water is not okay.
It's like my favorite method of playing Splinter Cell, where you just climb around on all the ledges and you grab people and pull them over the side, and it immediately removes them from being an issue ever again.
I miss Splinter Cell so much.
Yeah. That was such an odd little, like, just casual pleasure game for me. It's like, oh yeah, I'd love to play some, like, odd Tom Clancy-esque military, like, secret infiltration game that's like Metal Gear but without the sense of humor. But somehow it was just so soothing. It was like, I don't know, it's like those like cleanup games where you just make an environment nice and polished and tidy, but you're getting rid of bad guys.
You pull all the bad guys off ledges, you shoot out all the lights, you just turn the whole building into night mode. Everyone's dead and the lights are all out.
You make it nice and quiet and bad guy free.
Sam Fisher's bad guy cleanup crew.
Sam and Briggs, we gotta remember.
Yep, take the shot, Briggs.
Yeah, take a shot, Briggs.
Yeah, when Red and I were seniors in high school, we had a handful of free periods because we didn't have as many like courses as we had like class blocks in the day. So usually not in the morning we played Naruto. In like the early afternoon, we'd usually play like Splinter Cell for like 45 minutes every day in between our classes if we didn't have any homework to do. And it was great. We just fire up the co-op on Splinter Cell Blacklist on my janky like 2007 PS3 that I had dutifully brought into the senior lounge for everyone's enjoyment. And we had a great time. It was honestly some of the most fun I had in high school was just playing video games with Red and the gang at various points in our day.
Fantastic. I had even fewer classes than some people because I had A, front-loaded all my like core curriculum stuff, and B, one of the 4 classes I was taking as a senior was gym class, willingly. But
that's right.
But for 6 weeks in there, I had a broken clavicle, and like I'd like gone to my gym teacher and I was like, listen, like I could probably still do some of like the weightlifting stuff, but just on the left side. He's like, no, what are you doing? Go take a break. I'm not gonna make you come to gym class with a broken clavicle. I was like, okay. So then I only had 3 classes in a day. So my video game schedule was a little more intensive. In the morning, it was definitely Naruto because we had a friend who really liked playing it.
Yeah.
And then early afternoon, there was Splinter Cell, but there was also this middle period where a lot of people had it free, and we would play Smash Bros. Project M.
Yeah,
constantly. And then that other afternoon slot, sometimes it was Splinter Cell, sometimes it was GTA 5.
It was GTA 5, because that was like the year that it came out. And we didn't have like mods or anything. We just put on cheat codes, and we had certain challenges like turn on 5 stars and how long can you survive, or how many things can you ramp off of in a row.
Yeah. We would always try to steal a plane and fly it away without getting shot down and exploding.
We never could. We never could. It was impossible.
No, because as soon as you steal the plane, you get a 5-star wanted rating, and as soon as like a single bullet hits the plane, it starts a little timer that makes it explode later.
Yeah.
And we would spawn different vehicles at the top of Mount Chiliad and try to drive them down without exploding. That was a party.
Yes.
But Splinter Cell was the only game that we actually kind of like played as intended, I think.
Yeah, the other games were all nonsense, but Splinter Cell, I mean, the Naruto game was pretty much as intended to beat the shit out of each other. But the Splinter Cell game, we pretty much played by the book, because it's a pretty narrowly defined game. You do the missions, and either you win or you don't. We had to put ourselves in some fun challenges. I think we did like a pistol-only run at one point, or like melee takedowns only, I think we tried. We made it tricky for ourselves.
Yeah, I prefer to play stealth games as stealthy as possible, in part because I am not very good at like FPSs. I need time to aim. I can't just like whip around. So like, when I play TF2, I have to play sniper because it gives me time to aim and sort of, I can't just whip it around or I'll get dizzy. So Splinter Cell, the way I see it, if the bad guys know you're there and can shoot at you, you're doing something wrong. You've gotta just go in and take everybody out. But there are some missions that are mandatory like combat sections that you have to pick off waves of bad guys, and I didn't like those, so I usually skip those if I could. But the super stealth option, where it's like you can do stealth or you can go in guns blazing, I'm like, I'm going to do stealth. Nobody's going to know I'm here. I'm going to hide in this corner with my incredibly bright, glowing LED headset like a self-respecting cyber ninja, or whatever the hell I am.
Exactly. One funny thing with that dumbass headset is that the different colors that you can get for for Sam Fisher's goggles are listed in the menu by the wavelength of light that they output as, which ended up being really useful for me on a test when we were doing something with wavelength and I forgot which way the high wavelengths were and which way the low wavelengths were. And I remembered from Splinter Cell that I'd probably played earlier that day. And I was like, oh yeah, it's this one, and then it helped me get it right on the test. But someone in the chat had asked about Ezio's current outfit. This is I think it's the Venetian Azure colorway, which is basically the same coloration as the way that I've photoshopped Ezio in the thumbnail of this stream to have it be kind of blue, which is my sneaky and fun technique. But yeah, no, it's not DLC. This is just one of the normal outfits that you unlock when you get to Vebis.
Yes, Vebis. Oh man, good time. I should play more stealth action games.
They're good. There's not a lot of them these days. I mean, Metal Gear Solid 5 kind of turned down the volume on everybody else because it was so good. Everyone's like, okay, we're...
Metal Gear 5?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess gameplay-wise it was fun.
I mean, the story was nonsense, but everything I heard about people saying, was people saying it was really good.
I guess it's from what I've seen, it does look satisfying to play, and I guess that's the main appeal. It's just, the thing is, the story in Metal Gear is so in your face.
Oh, it's ludicrous.
I don't fucking know what the plot of Splinter Cell is. I don't care what the plot of Splinter Cell is. It never matters, alright?
No.
It's just alright, go to place and shoot the lads, But Metal Gear will, it'll, strap you down and be like, here's the plot for 7 unbroken minutes. It's
Kojima himself walks on screen to narrate at you.
Exactly. And that means that the plot needs to be fun, or I'm not gonna have a good time. So, early Metal Gear games, dumb as hell. Great time. Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, stupid as fuck. Great time. Also, the plot is a little bit the plot happens, but really it's just an excuse for a sequence of ridiculous anime boss fights with robots.
Yep.
So, it's fine. But then Metal Gear 5 is this plot is about becoming a monster, and all of your friends dying, and this mute lady in a bikini taking showers in front of you. And
I forgot about that. Christ.
Yeah. We would probably just protectively block that one out. Honestly, it's that's dumb. That's dumb, and I don't like it. And also everyone's yelling at each other because you got Ocelot on one side and the other guy on the other, and they're both miserable and yelling, and it's you know what, if I wanted this experience, I'd play a Telltale zombie game, okay? I wouldn't play fucking Metal Gear games. I'm here for the dumb shit and the 5 million snakes running around, okay?
Precisely, yeah. But there should be more stealth action games around. The problem is that... a lot of that kind of gameplay has been co-opted into the, like, open world, tackle these enemy encampments any way you want, and instead of having, like, actually, like, well-designed, like, levels and specific stealth gameplay, it's like, play Far Cry 3 for the 5th time, but now it's called Far Cry 6. And it's like, Watch Dogs is the same way, Assassin's Creed is the same way, Ubisoft game TM. Horizon Zero Dawn is kind of the same way. Ghost of Tsushima is kind of the same way. And those games obviously have their own strengths aside from that, but that kind of gameplay has basically just been folded into, like the little, like, vestigial base clearing out gameplay of every other, giant open world them up. Which is unfortunate, but kind of the way it be. So...
I think the thing, like, what you said about Ghost of Tsushima and, like, Horizon Zero Dawn, like, of those two, especially Horizon Zero Dawn, the open world gameplay kind of serves the story, but the story of Horizon Zero Dawn is 100% the point. Like, the other stuff, it's in service to that. That's one of those games that I genuinely feel like you could get a lot of the experience by genuinely sitting down and watching, like, the 6-hour cutscene. There's dialogue options, but it's like, are you going to be nice Aloy or mean Aloy? Are you going to kill people or are you going to not kill people? And it's like, other than that, everything else is a linear plot that you're just uncovering. I'd watch it as a miniseries and be fine with it. And the idea of fighting the scary robot dinosaurs stresses me out, so...
Let someone else do it. Delegation.
Exactly, yeah. I'm here for the plot, because that's what the game is offering. And the nice visuals and stuff. But there are games where the point is that they are just satisfying to play. And, like, that was my experience when I played through Breath of the Wild. I was like, obviously I'm invested in the story, but, like, I really like how this game feels to play. And, that was what a lot of people were saying about the Spider-Man PS4 game. That it was just like, this game feels fantastic. And, like, the plot of that game, let's be real, not its strongest suit.
The characterization's good, but the plot is a little all over the place.
Yeah, the characterization's good, the voice acting is spectacular, but the plot is like, we're gonna pretend that the audience is gonna be surprised when this guy turns into Doc Ock.
Yeah, I mean, in some regards, that twists the knife even more, which is, good writing. But yeah, no, it's not exactly the kind of thriller to keep you on the edge of your seat.
I mean... it's a very well-crafted game. That's what I think is good about it. Like, that's a game where you can watch a playthrough and get almost none of the experience, because it's like, all right, you hit the plot beats, but you're not getting the vibes,
Not at all.
It was like to play. Whereas with Horizon Zero Dawn, it's like, I don't like the idea of getting splattered across the landscape by a giant robotic saber-toothed tiger. I think I'll just watch it happen to somebody else.
That sounds like a them problem.
Yeah, exactly. I do think that, like, some games, the gameplay serves the story, and some games, the story serves the gameplay. And with Spider-Man, the story serves the gameplay. Horizon Zero Dawn gameplay serves the story.
I think that's fair. There's something to be said for the very puzzle-like gameplay of setting up traps for the, all the giant robot-y dinosaurs, which is... it is obviously informed by the kind of worlds they set out for the player, but there's something unique about that of course is inspired by the setting that they chose for themselves. Am I going to die? No. But yeah, no. With Spider-Man, it's like it's light. It's a little pulpy. It's fun. It's not terribly complex. It's there for you as the player to have a good time. Whereas with Horizon Zero Dawn, it's like I have things to say and concepts to teach you about. So it's definitely a difference in intent. Similarly with how Ghost of Tsushima, the story's there and it's super cool, but the main thrust of that game is the vibe and the Kurosawa-ness of it. It's very much a tone piece.
Yeah.
More than anything else. And obviously the gameplay is fantastic, but even the gameplay is, informed by that samurai cinema, like you are a lethal machine where every fight could be over in 3 hits. Ow.
Yeah, I gotta say, like, having watched some Kurosawa movies in preparation for this, the Yojimbo and Sanjuro duology specifically, it's really impressive how much they kind of get across, like, this guy is just a humble wanderer with a sword, but he's also about 5 times better at fighting than everybody else. There's a bit, I want to say it's in Sanjuro, where he has to fight like 15 people, and the scene building up to it is pretty incredible because, like, he mostly walks around with his hands in his sleeves, and basically he only takes his hands out of his sleeves when he's getting ready to, like, draw his sword. So this whole scene, he's walking around with his hands out of his sleeves, and I was like, oh god, when's it gonna happen? And once he whips it out, it's just like one slash is all it takes to take down any one person. And a couple of them even run away. It's like, the problem is he has to kill these guys because unfortunately they found out something about some people he's trying to keep
That
safe.
man just killed himself.
He's not happy about it, is the thing. He's like, if you idiots hadn't done this dumb thing, I wouldn't have had to save your lives by killing, like, a dozen people in, like, 15 seconds. And that movie also, it ends with the really iconic single-stroke duel, where he's, like, staring down the other bad guy for, like, I don't know, 45 unbroken seconds, and then the minute the bad guy draws the sword, he just slices him in half, and it's like the beat and then the high pressure blood explosion, which was, I think it's common knowledge at this point, a misfire of the tech involved. It wasn't supposed to delay, and it wasn't supposed to be that high pressure, but they just kind of rolled with it, and it turned into, you know, the de facto blood effect that all of that kind of media uses, all anime uses, you know. Everyone being sort of high-pressure blood bags is just the result of that one slightly beefed effect, which is quite cool. And Ghost of Tsushima kind of tries to just get that feeling of, like, you are a quiet wanderer who's sort of trying to be chill but can't be chill, and circumstances force you to be badass, or to reveal how badass you really are.
Local samurai too angry to die. But yeah, so different games, even if they're on paper, you know, the same open world structure that we've seen at this point a million times over the course of the past 10 years, starting with, like, you know, the early Assassin's Creeds, the early GTAs, and other games of that ilk, you know, the Elder Scrolls and Skyrim and stuff like that. The way that each game uses their mechanics and their story and their tone and their world can end up being very different and produce a very different effect. So even though, you know, the kind of design that you see in those games is pretty outdated at this point, Horizon Zero Dawn and Ghost of Tsushima are still considered fantastic games and will probably come to be, like, the defining entries in that open world genre after all the crap ones kind of get forgotten. Like, no one's really going to remember much about Watch Dogs Legion in 10 years, but, like, people are still going to be talking about Horizon Zero Dawn and Ghost of Tsushima.
Remembers Watch Dogs Legions now.
Yeah.
Remember that game where we let you play as Batman but less interesting? What if we let you play as, like, Robin but more obnoxious? God. I have heard quite good things about Horizon Forbidden West. I haven't played it, obviously, because it's new and I don't really play games, especially not new ones. But I've heard that it's a quite good expansion on the original, and it's one of those things where it's like, you know, the gameplay serves the story. The story is a mystery, a very complicated one with a lot of layers.
Yeah.
So I get the feeling they're aiming at a trilogy, like
I would
the
suspect so.
Yeah, it's like, it's a solid standalone. It doesn't quite have a 100% let's wrap everything up nice and neat resolution, but it has a very solid and satisfying resolution, you know. A New Hope style. It's like, okay, you know, we blew up the Death Star. We didn't destroy the Empire, but we did a good thing and we're all celebrating.
Yeah.
And then the middle entry, as I understand it, like, has a victory, but it definitely opens the door for further, like, questions and even bigger scale problems and what are we going to do. And then, you know, presumably in the threequel, which I think is inevitable at this point.
With how well it's been selling. I mean, good for Guerrilla Games, but with how well it's been selling, a third game is almost guaranteed.
Oh yeah, 100%. Which is going to be very exciting. I mean, so far they've been quite good at just, like, keeping up the pace of the storytelling, the unraveling mystery, just the very charming character dynamics. My favorite thing about Horizon Zero Dawn is that Aloy is a very fun person, and almost everyone she meets, like, kind of falls in love with her, and she has no idea how to handle it, and just kind of keeps being like, oh, cool, anyway, which is the biggest mood. seen people be like, oh, Aloy should get together with this guy. And I'm like, no, Aloy should get together with nobody. Aloy should hang out with all of her friends.
Aloy just, like, starts a whole, like, hangout group.
Yeah, Aloy's just got a group chat of, like, people who've asked me out at least once, and they're like, oh, you too?
I think there is... I mean, I don't know what the specific mechanics in Horizon Forbidden West are, but there is... Oops. Ooh. Well, I'm going to call that Masterful Parkour. There is a missing opportunity to have a small robot dinosaur companion. To not be, like, mandatory, but to have as an option. I feel like that would be incredible, because the tech is there, and you can even make it so that if they die, you can just, like, put them in a new body, and it's still, like, the same robot companion, so that, you know, from a gameplay, you know, loop management thing, you can still... There's still kind of a, like, soft lose condition, but you don't actually have to worry about... hold on. Sir. You don't actually have to worry about, you know, losing this companion character forever. That is my pitch for a mechanic for the third game, is give Aloy a little robo-puppo.
A little robot, like, actual accurate velociraptor, so, like, chicken-sized.
Yes.
That would be truly incredible. I love the concept so much, and now I'm genuinely kind of upset that, to my knowledge, no such mechanic exists in Horizon Forbidden West. And
you can even, like, upgrade it over the course of the story to give it, like, progressively more ridiculous features.
Or, like, you know, if you can kind of transfer it into new bodies, maybe you can transfer it into bigger, more impressive bodies.
Oh, wow, yeah, true. And it can still be the same pup, whether it's, like, a small little velociraptor or a, like, whole-ass pterodactyl.
I mean, the game's been playing around with various AIs. I think it would be very easy to have it be like, all right, you have an AI with you. It needs to hitch rides in robo-dinosaurs, or like a piece of equipment that you carry when it's not in a robo-dinosaur, and then you can just plug it into different robo-dinosaurs and hang out with it. Because I know there's already a mechanic wherein you can, like, sort of hack certain robots, so it's like, you know, the fact that you can ride the robot dinosaurs is like...
Yeah, you can decorrupt some of the like... I forgot what they're called. Like the moose equivalent robot.
Right, but you can also just, like, it's not quite decorrupting. The fact is, a lot of those robots are hostile to humans for completely, like, legitimate programmed-in reasons. They have a job to do, and humans disrupt it by killing them, so they get hostile to humans. The scary corrupted ones are one thing, and the super scary old world pharaoh tech really scary robots are not the robo-dinosaurs. The lore of this game is incredible, honestly. Like, I thought it was like, oh yeah, cool, cave woman fights robo-dinosaurs, that's neat, and then I started reading the wiki, and my eyes just kept getting wider.
Yeah.
More horrified. It's,
I remember, like, read the night that you, like, sat down to watch a playthrough or, like, read the wiki on Horizon. I woke up to a torrent of messages the next day.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, I mean, it's fun.
It was buck wild. It's exactly my shit, you know? Like, I used it as an example in the Ancient Superweapons trope talk for a reason. Because it's just, it's so spooky. And it's easy to sort of, like... It's got one of my favorite horror tropes of sort of, like, dawning horror as you realize the true extent of the damage. Because, of course, you know, you start off and you're like, all right, you know, got some kind of thriving-ish, you know, tribal, sort of cyberpunk, sort of very primitive, you know, various cultures running around. Oh, okay, that's interesting, you know, it's cool. I wonder how this world works. And, I'm sorry, I just saw you fall and just, like, crack your head on the plinth.
No, it was dropped frames. That didn't actually happen.
Oh, yeah, of course.
It was the lag.
Yeah.
The lag that we fixed because we're running this on the PlayStation 5 now. That's what it was.
Oh, no.
Everything's above board over here at OSP.
Yeah. But of course in Horizon Zero Dawn, like, as Aloy starts finding out more about what happened, because she can see, you know, these, like, holograms and, like, log entries and stuff that nobody else can see because, you know, like, this is a thing that we nowadays are sort of dealing with. Almost all of our media is stored on technology that isn't automatically readable or accessible. So if anything happens to our ability to access or read it, or our ability to store it, there's the potential to lose quite a lot of that data. So basically, you know, in the pre timeline before the game, long before the game, people are making super high-tech hologram recording messages and stuff like that. And in the present, nobody can see them except for Aloy because she's got the little chippy
Focus.
thing, the triangle, the let me play the video game button. But I think there are a few areas where like, oh yeah, it's haunted. We like hear snippets of a female voice or something like that, or this is a holy place. You know, our mother goddess spoke to us here, and what it said was access denied, gene code not recognized. Oh god.
You must use a password with 10 uppercase letters, 4 lowercase, and
exactly. And then they're forming these religions around basically that, which is just such fun world building. You know, it's like how the world building in Breath of the Wild like all went into the map design, and it's just incredible. In Horizon Zero Dawn, it all went into the map design and the lore design that goes with it, which is just wow, so good. But the thing is, as you're sort of uncovering what happened, the events of the past start looking... Wait, hold on, sorry, Cyan's in chat? Cyan's in chat!
Oh, hey! Hi, darling.
Hey.
I hope you're having a good day at work.
Video games.
We're just talking about Horizon.
Yeah. Because as you're looking at the events of the past and, you know, sort of seeing more and more of what happened, it starts looking a lot more apocalyptic. Like they're talking about like we estimate this long until the extinction of all life on Earth, and Aloy's running around muttering like, okay, so how did they stop it? Clearly all life on Earth did not go extinct because we are here and alive. So what happened? And the more you unpack, the more it's like, oh, it's even more fucked than we ever thought. Which is just, I love that. I love that so much. I love when you start exploring a thing, you're like, this is going to be a little bit spooky, and the more you find out, the worse it gets. Just exquisite.
Yeah. Science says that Cleo is probably napping. She is indeed probably napping. I think she's in the other room. I don't actually know where she is. Let me check.
Oh, we're on a Cleo hunt, everybody. Well, until Blue locates our head of HR.
Found her. She's exactly where I thought she was. She is on one of the windowsills in the bedroom, soaking up a whole bunch of sun and napping. As I poked my head in, I heard a little whap as she like briefly woke up. You definitely didn't catch it on the mic. It was in the other room and it was rather quiet. But yeah, that's... Oh, hello, little miss. I'm sorry that I woke you up. Hold on, let me go give Cleo some pets and see how toasty she is.
She wants attention.
Oh, Cleo, you're so warm. Ah!
Oh, my
Cleo is very warm. She's been in the sun for at least an hour. Good.
Such experiences I miss from when I was human.
Oh, is there a Ziggy cameo too in the chat? Yes. So Indigo has a new cat as of late. The newest member of OSP's HR, Ziggy, a cute little void. Ziggy is a sweetie.
I love Ziggy because I've never seen a picture where she wasn't kind of like dusty. So she's just like really good at picking up, you know, trash goblin energy, which is great. I mean this with all the love in my heart. She goes from being like a little void to being a little star-speckled void, but it's just so funny.
Where the hell am I going? Oh, I gotta go up.
Where are you going?
This one.
Should you go back to play with the parkour lady more?
No, according to her, I learned everything from her that I could, which is that I learned one small jumping technique.
Wow.
Because Rosa apparently did not have very much to teach me.
Is that the point of this whole thing?
No, we have to do like some other tasks. So at first we were killing some bad guys who had betrayed the Thieves Guild and were basically spying on Antonio and the Thieves. We had to learn how to do the climby thingy from Rosa. We came here to do the climby thingy, and now we have to go rescue some of our thieves that got captured in the course of the last mission. So I need to find where the hell this memory start thing is. It's somewhere around here, but I don't know where. Oh, it's with Ugo. Yeah. Well, where is he? This is... Oh, it's on the other side. What? What?
Yeah, I wonder when games decided that main characters should be constantly inner monologuing to themselves, because I kind of like it, but you know, it really depends on the specifics. Like, you know, it works in Horizon Zero Dawn because Aloy, like, lived by herself for, like, 95% of her developing years. So of course she talks to herself, and she usually it's on the plot and what she's thinking at the time. So, you know, you're puppeting her around, but she's, you know, putting things together and making solid points the whole time, which does make sense. And then there's games like Bioshock Infinite, where Booker is constantly, like, reading signs and then commenting on them to himself.
Yeah, it's a tough balance, because do you either have the main character never shut up, or do you give them a companion who never shuts up?
Oh god, I recently saw a couple tweets about Bioshock Infinite, which, you know, I do remember very fondly as a fun game to play and very beautiful visually, but I saw, the point was like, you know, press X to say racism is bad, press Y to say racism is good. Booker, racism is complicated. It shoots the only named black woman in the head, and I was like, oh fuck, that did happen, didn't it? So,
I don't remember that, but I think it's because I blocked out the entire second half of the game.
The second half of the game is definitely where it kind of goes up its own ass and disappears, you know?
Yeah.
You start dimension hopping so much that there are no stakes anymore because you can't get attached to anybody because you're just going to leave this dimension anyway. And
Bioshock Infinite be like, if you go up your own ass, do you get twice as big or not at all? Oh, God.
Oh, no.
The markets belong to the people. Uh-oh, gang, are we doing a communism?
Oh,
no! Okay. Now we climb up here. Oh yeah, these idiot thieves with the worst pathing AI in the whole game. They make it so that you only have to bring 1 out of 4 of them back from each time, because otherwise they keep on falling in the water and it becomes impossible to finish the level.
That is fucking hilarious.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Because, like, see, they're just going on a totally different direction, trying to find a way to get up to me. Here we go. Yeah, they're there. Okay, gang, let's... Jumping back a topic, or I guess 2 topics, to Ghost of Tsushima. Since the first game is now pretty much done, like, Sucker Punch to add additional content to the game after the fact, and I think they're still adding some stuff to the multiplayer, but like they did the whole Iki Island DLC with the like director's cut edition of the game. They have the multiplayer mode, which is free, also free on PlayStation Plus this month for any of you who have PlayStation Plus. Definitely worth a shot. It's super fun. I play it with 2 of the greens like every month or so. We find a time to get together.
I just saw the thief guy casually wander off the roof and drop.
Yep, the pathing AI is pretty trash. But I had a prediction for what the other 2 games in the series will be, assuming it's a trilogy, because yeah, probably. And assuming that, you know, since they've finished the first one, they'll probably start working on the next one. The first game was... Oh, give me your spear. Fine. The first game was Ghost of Tsushima. You know, it was Mongol Invasion 1274. It would be silly to have another game set in the Kamakura period. There's not really a ton else they can do, and sure, there's more they could do with Jin Sakai, but I mean, like, I feel like they kind of explored, you know, all of that there is to explore with that character. I think it would be cool to time hop 300 years into the future and do like a Ghosts of Sengoku, and do the Warring States period in Japan, so that you get like full-on samurai wars of like different, you know, different factions fighting against different places in mainland Japan, so you can get some famous cities and locations from, you know, the actual like main island of Japan. And then for the third game, it'd be cool to do a like Boshin War period, last samurai war against the forces of the Empire during the Meiji Restoration. So you get like your 1200s, you get like your 1500s, and you get like an 1800s game. I think that would be mwah. It would be great. Each one would be completely unique, but still, you know, thematically unified with, you know, the story of samurai over the long history of Japan. That is my pitch, and when I am proven correct, I will refer you all to this stream when I called it.
You heard it here first, folks. Ghosts of Sengoku.
As I kill his herald, steal his money, and throw his body in the river. This is,
Yeah.
4 cents? Oh, come on, what were they even paying you?
Boo.
Yeah. There we go. And we head back.
Yay!
You saw nothing.
Oh man, I'm excited for more games. It's always interesting to see how the development process changes, how things kind of shift over the years.
Yeah.
The trends. I mean, right now we are in the thick of like open world exploration, crafting, and collectibles games.
Yeah. Because, like, a couple good games made all the choices, so other not as good games can be like, let's just do what those guys did. Again, making creative decisions, testing, like, new methods of gameplay? No, because one of the things with, like, unoriginal design is that you save a lot of time on playtesting, because you don't have to develop entirely new methods of the game from scratch. You can start by copying another game and know exactly where it is that you're going to be going, which, in addition to just, like, the laziness and the creative part, it helps to actually make a game for cheaper and in less time than it is to design an entirely new method of gameplay that you have to, test and experiment with and make sure it's actually fun. If you already know that clearing out forts is good enough, you can just start making the rest of the game. That part's already done. So that is part of why the reflex for that kind of design exists.
Yeah. Two things. One, how hard would it have been for them to program it so that the thieves don't just keep walking after they hit the checkpoint and just gormlessly slide off the edge?
Too difficult.
God. And two, on the note of games essentially just being like, yeah, what this other game worked fine, we'll just take all of that and then do a little of our own stuff. I recently watched the Point Crow video where he played Genshin Impact, which is my only exposure to Genshin Impact as a game/franchise. And it's very funny because gameplay-wise, Genshin Impact is like 90% Breath of the Wild. But flavor-wise, it is the most oversaturated trope-laden JRPG I've ever seen. And the mental disconnect between those two aesthetics is so hilarious to me. Because on the one side, you've got Breath of the Wild, which is this like incredibly contemplative, melancholy, ultimately extremely isolated experience. And then you get, any given JRPG where you collect like a half dozen brightly colored, just like stock personalities. With a voice actor giving about 60% of their best voicing.
Oh no.
And then they just talk about what good of friends they are and run around, usually all in the main character's back pocket until they're needed for combat. And it's just... Oh, and of course they have a squeaky-voiced companion character that narrates the tutorial at you, pops out at random and tells you what you should do for the plot, which, solid gold. Breath of the Wild was like the first Zelda game that didn't do that, and it was unilaterally considered an improvement, and they were like, but what if we put Navi back?
Yeah.
Oh no. I mean, no shade. I think that, if that's your flavor, that game is like ideal for you. It is the most anime-esque anime thing I've ever seen. Like, there's anime that's like, oh, that's an anime, and then there's anime where you're like, oh my god, that is incredibly... That's like someone took anime, boiled it down into a syrup, and then like stirred it into more anime. They all sound the same. And I remember kind of being like, oh, I like parts of this, but a lot of it's kind of weird. And then, when I got older and had more experience with the genre, I was like, oh, the 90% of it that I thought was kind of weird is the 90% of it that every game does. They're like the bundle of tropes that you get. Oh, hey, sorry, That Works is in our chat.
Oh, yo! Hey, gang, how's it going? Good to see you guys. For those of you who don't know, That Works is a trio of blacksmiths working to just make some of the coolest weapons that you can see being made online. They document the whole process. They've made all kinds of stuff. Oh gosh, one of my favorites. Hold on, it's video from last year. One of my favorite videos from you guys was jeez. Which one was it? It was so good, though. Oh, yeah, Tanjiro's Katana from Demon Slayer. That video was fantastic. That was a really great effort by you guys. But welcome in. I'm gonna assume that it's Matt here on the keyboard in chat. But yeah, hope you've been well. Welcome to the stream. For those of you who are interested in blacksmithing and weapons content, or bladesmithing, I should say, go check out That Works. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Their videos are super fun.
Yeah.
Red, thank you for the catch. I probably wouldn't have noticed. I'm not really keeping an eye on chat.
It's pure luck. I was like, I should wind down my anime rant. What's going on? Oh, there's a check mark. Oh man. Yeah, no shit. I think that I don't know. I think a lot of times when we discuss video games, it almost sounds like we're like, oh, this game's not like good in that it shouldn't exist. And I want to make it clear that is not at all what I think about a lot of games. I think there's a lot of content out there that I think is dumb as hell, and I'm glad it exists because it makes somebody happy. You know, like
yeah.
You don't get something that intense when nobody's passionate about it. You know, anything that exists to that degree of existing is that way because someone really wanted it to be that way. And I think just because something's not my flavor and I think it's kind of dumb doesn't mean it shouldn't exist or that, you know, it doesn't have any artistic merit. As long as it makes somebody happy, it's doing something right. So, you know, no complaints. It's just very funny because a lot of times, you know, we've all experienced this, you know, when you look at a piece of art that's really not your flavor, so you can like see what it's doing and also how it's not working for you. And then, of course, you know, you can point out the parts that maybe aren't working. It's an interesting school of criticism, but I think it's always good to, you know, be aware of the fact that even the stuff that isn't for you is for somebody.
Yeah,
which is why
totally.
One of the YouTube channels I just respect categorically is Cinema Wins.
Yeah.
Because the guy who runs
On
that
principle.
stated that his thesis is that every movie is someone's favorite movie, and he wants to watch the movie from the perspective of what would that person like about this? What would stand out to them?
Yeah.
You know, what really works here? And I think that's such an interesting school of criticism, where it's just kind of like, you know, it's easy to take something apart and see what doesn't work, or point out like that was bad and they probably shouldn't have done that because it just, you know, it undercuts something important. But it's also good to look at something and be like, what did this get right? You know, you can learn from anything. You know, you can learn from a good, bad example, but you can also learn from the good parts of a bad example, or the good parts of a mediocre example.
Yeah, exactly. You know, there are entire movies that are known for like, oh, this movie has this one really famous scene. Like, the rest of the movie might be completely forgettable, but there's this one kernel of like really good thing happening here that like a lot of movies in the past century are now remembered as, oh, this movie has this one really good scene. And that applies in many instances, not just like that. So no, Red, your point is definitely on the money.
Yeah. I mean, I'll go to bat for the last 15 minutes of Jupiter Ascending of all things. The rest of that movie's such a tire fire that it's baffling that the ending is actually kind of solid. You know, sometimes people just nail it, or sometimes there's like a single part of the story that someone's really passionate about doing right. And sometimes, you know, the parts that look dumb and just feel like they just don't work are charming and part of the appeal for the people for whom that is, you know, their flavor. Like, I'll admit I cannot watch any clips of Genshin Impact because the voiceover makes my soul hurt. But that's like tradition for JRPGs. There are a lot of really talented voice actors in there, and it's just like, I mean, you try seriously delivering the dialogue of a character who's basically got the edginess of like Shadow the Hedgehog and the looks of like a pit crew Bishi with an eye patch, you know? Like, you can't give your A game on that.
I think
Nobody can.
I can't recall the exact phrasing, but Donkey has in one of his videos a pretty robust explanation in his video game voice acting video of why like anime games are so embarrassing to watch sometimes, just because of like just what they're doing with the voice acting.
Yeah, it's I mean, you know, it kind of hurts, and the quality level varies wildly, but a lot of those guys are incredibly talented. I mean, like, that Tales of game that I was watching way back when, Yuri Lowenthal plays the main character. He's an incredibly talented voice actor. Like, he's good in everything. He made Sasuke a believable character. But you can't always save the dialogue, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is a lot of things coming together at once. It's the combination of good writing, good acting, good directing, and if any of those things are not working, the whole thing's probably going to fall down.
Yeah, and also, like, you know, I can give crap for that, but I've seen some early anime dubs that I think commit a much worse sin, which is every actor feels like they are in a completely different show. And that's the result of, I won't say bad directing, more inexperienced directing, because at the time, the field of anime dubbing was very new. Nobody really knew what they were doing. Everyone was kind of figuring it out. Most people hold up Cowboy Bebop's English dub as a really standout example of just a good early anime dub. And a lot of that is because the voice director, Mary Elizabeth McGlynn, I believe, just did a really good job pulling it together. But if you really listen for it, like, Steve Blum is really the only person there giving, like, a good performance. And everyone else is just kind of matching his energy. And then, like, if you watch the dub of Slayers, everyone sounds like they are in a completely different show. Like, some of them sound like Looney Tunes characters. Some of them sound like anime characters. Some of them sound like Crispin Freeman doing his best. It's, you know, they don't really sound like they're matching each other's energy. So if you have a game like Genshin Impact where everything is cranked up to like 200%, it kind of makes sense that you'd want to do that with the performance, even if it ends up sounding more silly and less heartfelt. You know, you don't want to be the one person, you know, putting your whole ass into it and giving an Oscar-worthy performance and everyone around you is talking like a My Little Pony extra. You know, you kind of, it's more important for the integrity of the experience that you match what's going on than that you show off, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, cohesion is better than raw quality in some instances.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know, it's interesting, but it does kind of hurt my soul just because when I started getting interested in voice acting and I started developing an ear for it, I unfortunately like lost all tolerance for not good vocal performances. They just hurt my soul now.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, you know, this is what happens anytime you get even slightly involved in any kind of art. It's like once it becomes personal, it hurts a lot more to see it kind of not work. Anyway. Oh, good stuff.
Oops. Ah, push the map button. Ah, heck.
No!
Come on, dude, you're killing me here. There we go. Alright.
Yes.
Cool.
Exquisite.
You four idiots didn't see anything. Alright. Now let's get on the boat and get out of here. I'm trying to think of what else there is to say in the line of that conversation, and I'm not actually sure.
I mean, you don't really watch much anime, so it's an interesting field. One thing that I think is very interesting is that a lot of people who watch anime get interested in voice acting because of anime. And those people go to conventions and ask anime dubbers about, like, how do I get your job? And every single one of them is like, you probably want to just do, like, general voice acting. You probably don't want to just do anime dubs. Which is just such an interesting, like, tidbit, because it's like, you know, the people who are passionate about this are often passionate about it because they really like anime, so it makes sense that they'd want to be involved in it. But, like, dubbing anime is such a uniquely complicated process, and also often greatly restricts the acting choices you can make because matching lip flaps is a huge pain in the butt.
Yeah.
Translating scripts is an even bigger pain in the butt. And it's like a ton of those voices, you know, like Laura Bailey, Travis Willingham, they're like classic Funimation, you know, veterans. They were both in the Full Metal Alchemist dub. They're both really good. They've both been dubbing anime and stuff since, like, not the earliest early days, but like for a hot minute. But they also do a lot of other stuff. Laura Bailey does a ton of video game voice acting.
Yeah.
So does Travis now. I mean, obviously nowadays they're mostly doing Critical Role, but they're also doing other stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't know, I think it's interesting that the inroads into a passionate field like this are often not what the actual job experience, you know, turns into. And it turns into, like, if you're passionate about anime, you probably just want to keep watching anime. You don't necessarily want to get involved in the production, which is kind of soul-crushing. But if your passion is voiceover, anime, video games, you know, even ADR, stuff like that, a lot of that's very workable. And it's all kind of tapping into the same the same skill set. So if you find it fun, you'll probably find it fun no matter what you're doing. I don't know, I just think it's interesting. I obviously haven't been to an anime convention in a hot minute because, in case you haven't noticed, there's been a plague going on. But
yeah, that'll do
I remember, you could always tell when someone asking the question was like, I really, really like this. I want to be involved in it because I do not feel like I'm engaging with it enough just by being a fan. I want to be part of this. How do I make that happen? And the problem is, that's not the question that you can be asking when you're doing this. I don't know, it's interesting. Let me check the chat. I've just been like staring into the middle distance the whole time.
Yeah, Indigo says, classic advice in production fields, you don't always want to know how the sausage is made. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes it is very interesting, though. But, sometimes, especially if, in my experience, if it's like you watch a show and you're like, oh my god, this would be so fun, I would love to like be this character or play this character or just experience this fun stuff, that probably means you're a fan of that specific story, not the actual field of anime voiceover.
That's valid.
Yeah. But people engage with fandoms in all kinds of different ways, and almost all of like transformative fan content, I think, comes from this desire to engage with media on a deeper level because, we've all had stories or like media that we're incredibly passionate about that we just kind of like, it gets its hooks into us and then we're like, oh my god, this is the coolest thing. And sometimes, watching it and maybe talking about it with friends is enough, but sometimes it's like, oh man, I gotta do something with this. And in my experience, especially like fans that are also creators, it hooks into like the creative instinct. It's like, I gotta draw fan art of this, I gotta do something to like digest this and make it mine on some level. And I think that instinct can easily be sort of misinterpreted as like, wow, I must be really passionate for this field, when it's like, no, you're really passionate for this story that's, well made and doing something right. You might also be passionate about the field, and sometimes you find out that you're passionate about the field because you are passionate about something that's connected to it. But, sometimes it's not how it works. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's like, we really like the story of Breath of the Wild here on OSP, but neither one of us are going to go out and start building a video game.
No, we are not. Oh, man.
About 5 more detailed diatribes worth in the tank just about Breath of the Wild. Not really, but like, we could.
Yeah, we proposed Breath of the Wild. Zelda and Link really need therapy as a detailed diatribe subject.
Yeah, and then we ended up just talking about that conversation on our own time over the course of the next, 2 days.
Yeah.
Worked out all the plot points.
That's how that works.
Yeah, because what was the observation that we came to, that at the beginning of the game, you feel more bad for... What was it? Was it at the beginning of the game you feel more bad for Link, and then at the end of the game you feel worse for Zelda? Or at the beginning of the game you feel worse for Zelda, and by the end you feel worse for Link? I forgot which one that we settled on, because it was 2 months ago we had the conversation. But
yeah, I mean, the problem is either one is plausible. I'm inclined to think that at the beginning of the game I'd feel worse for Link, because, if you wake up in a place called the Shrine of Resurrection with amnesia, and the first thing you learn is that you got your ass kicked and all your friends died, you're gonna feel pretty bad for Link. And then Zelda's like, also, I've been kidnapped or whatever, and you're like, I assumed it's a Zelda game. But then as you play through the game, you're like, oh my god, Zelda, oh my god, this poor girl. And then, of course, by the end, you feel bad for both of them, because, boy, they've been through the ringer.
Boy, have they.
Yeah.
Now, one of the reasons that this mission is stupid is that the entire point of this memory sequence was scoping out the Palazzo della Seta, learning how to climb inside it. Okay, cool. And we had to go free some of our men and kill... No, we had to free some people and then steal some clothing so that the thieves we freed could impersonate the other guards while we sneak inside, and they don't even help us on the inside. this mission is very dumb because it's a lot of setup that objectively for an assassin as skilled as Ezio is completely unnecessary, but the game needs to justify the fact that you can't just walk into this palace and kill this guy somehow. And that's kind of what happens in the second half of this game, is that it puts in a bunch of arbitrary roadblocks to why you can't just go to the place and kill the guy. Because at this point, Ezio has all the tools that he can just do that wherever he wants. And the stuff in Florence made more sense because you were trying to foil a conspiracy and try to stop something bad from happening. Whereas at this point, like, everything's already kind of in place. It's just, okay, you show up and kill this whole, Venetian gang that's over here. And the game doesn't really know how to just stop you from killing everyone in 4 seconds. So it gives you all these arbitrary objectives you have to complete that Ezio really doesn't have any need to do. Like, I didn't need to kill these guys. I could have killed, like, 2 and just jumped across and gone in. But the game is like, no, you need to steal all of these clothes. You need to kill these guys on the roof and get these other thieves out. It's like, I don't think this is necessary. And the next sequence in the game is kind of similar. The sequence after that is really, really dumb. Because next we have to jump into the Doge's palace. And that's like, oh, it's impenetrable. It's like, it's not really. There's like 4 guards on the front door that we could easily kill, but it's like, we need to get the flying machine thing to happen, so then there's all this nonsense we have to do to set up the flying machine, and it's like, the plot stops making logical sense because we have to go through all these extra hoops just to stretch out the runtime here, because they didn't know what to do with the second half of this game. So it's just, we have to get into this one specific place to kill this guy. Gotta set up those dominoes for 45 minutes before we knock him down. It's bad design.
Love me that ludonarrative dissonance. Sorry, quick question. I can't help but notice that some of these wacky parkour thieves are wearing beanies. Is that in any way historical, or is it just kind of an early 2000s? It can't be. Like,
I think they're just trying to get some. Yeah. This can't be right. I didn't think about it until right now, but this absolutely cannot be right. And if anyone has any evidence that it is attested, please let me know. Because this seems very dumb and very wrong.
New from Venice Aeropostale.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh boy.
Alright, do we want to lure people away from the gates with thieves or courtesans?
Seems like it'll have ultimately the same effect.
It will, because the gameplay is not very robust. Alright, ladies, let's go.
Yeah.
And in the E3 demo, they like had Ezio hiding up here to like be out of the way when the guards came by. But the thing is, if we're literally standing right here, we can just walk on through.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Big awooga energy out of those guards right there.
Oh, man. So, on that note, I was rewatching some classic college humor, and I think an underappreciated gem is the old one, This Thumbnail is a Butt.
Oh.
Yeah, where the premise is that they're at a sketch pitch meeting, and Zach, clearly somewhat inebriated, pitches that the video premise is this thumbnail is a butt, and every time everyone's like, Zach, that's ridiculous, nobody's gonna, and every time he holds up the picture of the butt, they go full, cartoon wolf whistle, awooga. It's, oh god,
yeah.
Yes. Very funny.
Yeah, jeez. Alright, let's see. Let's turn off the map for a second, because I realize since all of the missions in Venice involve you going to multiple places that are not marked by any actual landmark, unlike in Florence, where it's always like, go to this building, go to that building, go to this like actual real landmark in the city. In Venice, it's just like, go to this random dot on the map to do this random task, and there are also 3 of them, and there's no way to know where you're going unless you like pull up the map every 2 seconds. It encourages... No. Whew, almost let that guy fall into the pit. Cool, you go that way. Yeah, no, Venice makes it very hard for you to play without the map.
it arrives, load those crates and prepare to sail. I'll be right back. If Carlos speaks true, I must find a place to hide just until the meeting. Then we'll deal with the assassin. There!
Oh, come on. No, I meant to use the hit. Oh, Jesus. I meant to use the hidden blade. Now I'm stuck on level geometry. Love that. Alright, get out of here. Oh my god! He didn't even fall off, he just... Oh my god. That's funny.
Yeah.
That was funny.
Ragdoll. Oh man. This game has a lot of heart, I think, but...
Oh,
you
it
can definitely
does.
see the cracks. Yeah.
Did I accidentally trigger the... Are they still talking? Okay, no, yeah, they're still going. Okay. I thought that maybe me fighting that guy triggered the target AI to go, like, ah, heck, gotta get out of here. Currently, we are waiting to pounce on our boy.
Yes. Oh boy, here it comes.
This
I
game
wonder
is
how
so
much of an
slow.
influence these games had on the Spider-Man PS4 game.
Hopefully, not a ton. Honestly, not a ton. Because a lot of the designs in the Spider-Man game, and I guess add Spider-Man to the open world them up we were just talking about a second ago. Spider-Man has a much bigger focus on traversal through the city, such that the world is very large and you're not meant to really interact with every single piece of it, because you go through it so fast. So it's, it's meant as kind of a little urban playground. And there are some, like open world, TM, Ubisoft game choices, such as like having towers you need to liberate and things like that. And there's a lot of side missions and races and junk, and it's got a lot of the open world clutter that you often see in Ubisoft game TM. But it's not as bad. They streamline a lot of it and put the focus on the swinging rather than going to every single little corner of the map and dutifully sweeping out the side tasks they assign for you. So it's very much an open world game with a lot of the things that come with it, but it's not full of a lot of Assassin's Creed 2 inspiration specifically.
That makes sense. I do like how the game was like, it'd be inconvenient if you had to fight these guards, so we're just gonna ragdoll them because you killed their boss.
I think what happened was they got shot with arrows, which is logically the justification to why we had to go through all the effort to set up all these random guards around the side of the building. Which doesn't explain
like
how
they could have shot the bad guy with arrows too, then.
Yeah, probably.
Without having to launch you into the fray.
Yeah, the Venice plot in this game is... It's not an idiot plot, because that's not really what's happening. It's not based off a misunderstanding. It's just Ezio is not able to do any of the things he's demonstrated by this point in the story that he is good at. So it almost seems like it's backwards, where this is where Ezio's learning how to do things, and the Florence section of the game is where Ezio's a master assassin. It's weird, and it's very imbalanced. And Venice in this game is great. Like, the city is great, but the plot that happens in this half of the game is remarkably stupid. Also, I saw a gold comment from Indigo. The VOD will unfortunately be at whatever quality the stream is, which I just find very funny.
Yeah. Despite our best efforts.
Yeah. We have unlocked more of the map. We can go hang out in St. Mark's Square for a sec as we probably bring this stream to a close, because I don't think we want to go through the whole effort of doing this entire next segment. I don't think I got that much energy in me. Spending 45 minutes doing tech really takes it out of you, unfortunately.
Yeah. I like how when they're rendering out the different parts of the cities, they show them at different times of day for some reason.
It's
like, and you can kind of see the sun moving.
Fun, but it's weird. Yeah, that's a cool... Yeah. Wow, look at this janky sun physics. There's one angle where it's like, and then it randomly cuts out. Yeah, it goes underneath the... Oh god, that's so weird. Where?
That is pretty weird.
Yeah, jeez. Okay, so we've got the Ferrari over there, there's Plaza del Seto over there. Yeah, let's go check out St. Mark's. Let's see what we see.
Do it.
I don't know, is there anything else we can talk about before we call it? I think we've exhausted through the video games and anime discussion. I'm trying not to spoil too much of a future detailed diatribe by just running my mouth about various topics that have been very much on my mind lately.
Yeah, it's always harder to think of things to talk about when you have something you want to talk about, but you can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah, let's see, that does make this trickier.
Usually we're very entertaining. I promise.
It's been entertaining for like 2 hours.
Oh, no, we have.
And I'm running on 4 hours of sleep, so...
Yeah, you're really the MVP here in this stream. I'm just providing adequate gameplay.
Reboot, but as a kindness, I probably won't do that. I am encouraged that my propaganda has spread so far already, though. Like, almost all these suggestions are coming from different people.
Good.
Oh, you've been watching She-Ra, though.
I have been watching She-Ra, yeah. I'm just starting on season 4, so I've almost caught up to where our detailed diatribe was from last year when we talked about the parallel character arcs in season 4. It's good! It's really good. I like it a lot. It's a good show. It does a lot of things super well. The characterizations are great. Glimmer gets a lot less obnoxious after episode 2, and I presume she's going to get a lot more obnoxious again in season 4, but oh well.
Yeah.
It's well done.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not a lot that's like terribly innovative, but it's just super well done at every step of the story.
Yep, a simple meal well made. I described watching She-Ra as like comfortable because it gives you like what you're expecting. You know, characters go through the arcs you want them to go through. You know, people who were bad realize they were bad and try to be better. Characters who you want to learn to stand up for themselves do eventually. It's, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, this is not a show that subverts expectations really at any point, but you don't always need that, you know? Tropes exist for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they do also subvert some stuff, like Glimmer's character design is my favorite fun little, just purposeful inversion because, you know, I think Noel Stevenson mentioned that their design criteria for, like, Glimmer and Catra is that Glimmer appears to be all good on the outside but has this nugget of badness, and Catra appears to be all bad but has this nugget of goodness. So Glimmer is, like, all pink and sparkly and chipper, but she's got this, like, really spiteful side, and she's so resentful and whiny a lot of the time. Whereas Catra is just like, yeah, I'm bad, and I like being bad, and I definitely don't feel deep-seated horrible regrets about all the people I've hurt, no siree. And it's just like, yes. So, I don't know, I just like that Glimmer's at her most, like, villainous when she's also at her most, like, pink, sparkly, extra brushable hair, My Little Pony accessory. You know?
Yeah. Precisely. It was fun seeing the fun little costume changes everyone gets for the beginning of season 4. But also, I liked in the episode where they basically play a D&D game to figure out how they're going to attack a tower in season 2. When Bo was explaining his plan, they give everyone their 80s designs. And when I was watching it, I thought, wait a minute, these costumes look very 80s. Bo with that mustache. So I looked it up like She-Ra 80s costumes, and I was like, aha, that is the 80s designs.
Yep. Sorry, apparently they're going by N.D. Stevenson now. My bad.
Okay.
But yeah, no, it's just, it's such a fun trope, and it's such a fun show, and it does a lot of goofy shit, and I really like it. And I also like how Shadow Weaver is just absolutely the worst, but nobody knows what to do with her. Because, like...
Put her in a box.
She's not working for the bad guys anymore. She's camping out at Team Good Guys' place, and they just don't know what the fuck to do with her.
Yeah.
It's like, well, she's not like doing bad stuff to us anymore. She's not conspiring for some greater evil, but she's the worst.
She just sucks so bad. And, like, tell me Ezio cannot get over this tiny little gap. Like, Jesus. The entire reason we need the flying machine is because Ezio can't get over this tiny little wall. Like, with the right running eject, you can go back and just go, whew, but...
You don't even need to run. You can just hop up on that little eminently steppable ledge right at the base of the fence, and then just kind of shimmy around it, because there's a fence you can grab on.
They even gave you a little place to put your feet as you're stepping over it. Yeah, no, it's super, super dumb. Mega idiotic.
Oh, that's stupid. I love it. I like how they clearly had to put the bigger spike thing there just to be like, don't go getting any ideas, video game man.
Yeah. So like, oh wow, it's great, St. Mark's, wow, fantastic, but then it's wrapped up in, oh, the sequence is so stupid.
I really appreciate how all these domes have just full garlic lobes on top of them.
Yeah, it's a weird shape. I don't know a lot about the architecture of St. Mark's in particular. It's Venetian Gothic, like, okay, yeah, sure. It's a Byzantine cross-shaped, but these domes are weird. It's like they're double domes with the one on top, and the shape is very weird and garlicky. They're very oblong, and it just I don't get it. I don't get this building at all. I understand the Doge's Palace perfectly. I did a whole 10-minute video about it, but I do not understand St. Mark's one bit. This building confounds me.
I do like all the statues, though. Those are pretty.
Statues are cool. Yeah, statues are super cool. Yeah, so they kind of play a little fast and loose with the timing here. They've got all these very, 1500 neoclassical looking buildings, despite the fact that it still would have been a medieval market square at this point, but they still have, medievally stuff. It's like a gallows with weird, theater sitting boxes for some morbid reason.
I feel like, I don't want to get morbid more than that, but I feel like by the time you've gotten, situated in the theater box and comfy, the execution's probably over. They don't take that long, you know?
Probably not. What's the deal with gondola food? Anyway. Walk up on stage and be down here as Ezio boo, throwing knife. Anyway. How do they do the mosaics here? Wait a minute. They copy the same exact design 4 times. Okay. What's up?
Sorry, somebody in chat's been asking what kind of music we like. I feel like our answer's probably not that interesting. It's specific songs mostly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the ones that have beats I enjoy, and instrumentation I also enjoy. Bonus points if there are words that I enjoy.
One band that's just a top of mind for me right now is the band Pomplamoose, which is, they do mashups and covers and stuff, but what's possibly most notable about them is that it is a husband-wife duo, and those two people specifically are CEO of Patreon Jack Conti and his wife, who run a band and are also the bosses of Patreon, which is hilarious to me that their side gig is running the most important source of independent artist support in the modern creator ecosystem. But it's mainly we're Pomplamoose. The Patreon's a side thing. It's what?
That is exquisite.
Yeah, and I remember I was talking to our YouTube partner. Our YouTube partner manager was Jack Conti, Pomplamoose. I'm wait, hold on, what? And it was very funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will once again recommend the epic swing metal cover of The Final Countdown by Connor Engstrom Music. A severely underrated YouTube channel that does just a lot of very fun covers of various different songs and stuff like that. Did a couple great covers of some Bond film openings, stuff like that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and especially, it has been a complicated couple years, and a lot of artists and creators who maybe financially it is a tough gig, and it becomes tougher when everything outside also goes to shit. So, you know,
Yeah.
a lot of those creators can, you know, use views and support more than ever, I'd say, as the world is more hostile than average.
Yeah, but also, I mean, we say this for whenever someone joins our Patreon, we have a note in the thank you letter. Like, if you ever need to like drop your pledge or just like leave the Patreon for our page entirely, like, please do it. Please always take care of yourself first. Like, we'll be fine. If you want to support the channel but don't want to throw money at us, like watching the videos is great. Preferably if you watch them without an ad blocker, that's great. But also, just like if you think you know someone who might like our stuff, tell them about it, because it's like, oh, you know, like and subscribe and comment for the algorithm, but the algorithm is all well and good, but like if you tell a friend who you think might like our stuff about us and then get a friend to watch our channel, that's worth a lot more than like commenting into the void, you know, for the algorithm and hoping that, you know, YouTube kind of like meets us halfway and starts recommending our stuff more. We obviously appreciate every single like and comment because, you know, it does help. It bumps us higher in recommendations, but there's really no substitute for you know, a fan base that's like, oh, this is cool, and, you know, shares stuff with their friends, because that's a lot more impactful for the life and growth of a channel than just, you know, raw metrics of like this many likes and comments and whatever. So yeah, I don't entirely know where I'm going with that, but there's a lot of ways to support a channel without spending a dime.
Yeah, but also, like, psychologically, I much prefer the thought that, like, you know, viewers are coming to our channel because they like our stuff, rather than, like, one of my videos, or, you know, like, oh, like the Lovecraft video where the Dragon Ball detail diatribe has been picked up by the algorithm and is getting aggressively shoved at people for weeks at a time, because that means often when people come to the video, they're like, God, will this get out of my recommendeds already? And I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't put it there.
Yeah. Yeah, we have very little control over how that happens.
Yeah, the algorithm's kind of a double-edged sword, because, you know, anything will become aggravating with overexposure, and it's like, I don't want my art to be just mashed in somebody's face until they finally relent and click, you know? Like, that's not what I want.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Oh, I'm on Team Cake, by the way. Pie is hit or miss, but Cake is always a win.
Team
Chat.
Cake? What? Oh, this is chat. I'm like, is there something I missed about like YouTube factions that have sprung up overnight?
No. Chat just had cake or pie as a question. Yeah, Team Cake. Also, cake has frosting, which is really the only reason I eat dessert. You know, the cake is good, but the frosting is, you know, it's wham.
I'm pretty firmly in cookie gang.
Ooh.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, if you wanna support people in this this online space that have helped you through a tough time, whether it's us or anybody else, I mean, an extra patron makes a lot more of a difference for a smaller channel than for a bigger one. So if you're between a couple channels, like, try to support the people who are up and coming, because that can really like help expedite the process of making someone's, you know, side hobby channel a viable, you know, source of income. But yeah, I mean, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, well, just a quick thing. I saw a couple people in chat being like, oh god, I hope these guys aren't into NFTs. Guys, don't worry. Fucking hate NFTs. They're so
hate them.
stupid.
They're trash. I actually told someone at Google, our former partner manager was like, what are your thoughts? And I'm like, they're bad and dumb and we hate them. He's like, yeah, nope, that checks out.
Yeah, it's just... I think the thing is, like, you know too much about economics to ever think that this was a good idea, and I just, like, read enough about it to be like, oh, it really is that stupid. Well, that's fucking stupid. It's just a pyramid scheme. So, like, you've got the expert perspective to be like, yeah, this is stupid on every level, and I've got the complete amateur perspective of, this looks like it's dumb. Oh, and I was right. So
yeah, I will say, I was thinking about tweeting this, but I tend not to just tweet things randomly, because I don't, like, I get halfway through writing a tweet and I'm like, oh, it doesn't matter, and I just discard it. But one that I was going to say earlier that I'm like, I'll probably mention this on a stream, is that one of the recent marketing tacks for cryptocurrencies and NFTs is don't miss out. You don't want to miss out on this big thing. Like, fortune favors the bold, says Matt Damon, apparently. And, you know, don't miss out. You don't want to miss this brand new innovation. Gang, if the advertising is saying don't miss out, you have already missed out, and they are just trying to make a quick buck off of you being gullible and thinking that you're still going to be early enough to get it.
Yeah, it's just a big game of hot potato. You know, whoever's left holding the bag at the end ends up with a JPEG. You're never going to believe it. JPEGs aren't worth money. So.
Yeah. So, if you think it's a good financial investment for its own reasons and can go through the process of justifying why, that's one thing. But never buy something because someone says, oh, you don't want to miss out. That is code for, I need to get out of here before I'm left with how much money I spent on this thing that I can't sell.
Yep.
Don't miss out is code for, let me free of this financial obligation and help me cash out so I never have to worry about this again because I'm realizing how much of a terrible decision I've made by getting into this field.
Yep, this is ultimately a transaction where there is no actual value at its core, so it's only what people are willing to pay for it. And of course, because the whole initial point was like, we want to basically make it so that artists can like retain their, like the whole point of it, right? Like, was that this way artists can prove that through their token that like this is their art and nobody else can really own it. But really what this means is that a lot of artists have had their art stolen and minted into tokens, so like...
Not even stolen, just copied. Stolen implies that NFTs actually convey ownership, which they don't.
Right,
Lol.
that's true. They had their art turned into NFTs against their will and consent, and then hawked off by somebody who doesn't actually own the copyright for it, because, of course. But of course, you know, art is already kind of a space where it's like the worth of the art is, you know, what people are willing to pay for it. Ultimately, it is a thing that communicates beauty and feelings, and it's you know, what are you willing to pay to have this beautiful thing in your life? NFTs are ugly as fuck. There's no value there. It's just about the ownership. And even then, the only value is in how much value you can get by offloading it onto somebody gullible enough to buy it. Because there's no inherent value in there.
Yeah.
So right now, all these people who've already made all the money they're ever going to make off of NFTs have quietly packed up and are enjoying their millions or whatever. And everyone currently dealing with NFTs is far too late because they're at the bottom of a pyramid scheme. They've already given money for something worthless. Now they are trying to get money for that same worthless thing before people figure out overall that it's worthless.
Or yes.
This is how all pyramid schemes work.
The other version of this is some people are trying to cash out of the NFTs or crypto that they've bought. Some people who are a little bit more enterprising and who arguably suck even more are trying to set up exchanges to facilitate other people buying and selling where they get a commission off of every trade. So it doesn't matter if they're stuck with the product. They're not stuck with it. They're just making the cash off of everybody else who's trying to flip it. So there are people who are getting stuck, who are trying to get out of a bad spot, who realize that they've made a mistake. There are people who are just straight up conning, and there are people who see a market for exploitation and are making the tools by which people can exploit other people, and then the marketplace gets a commission for it. So there's a great Folding Ideas has a video called Line Goes Up explains NFTs. It is like 2 hours long, but is good. I don't think we need to examine this all the way, but it's trash. It's pretty solidly trash. You need to do a lot of backflips to justify a world in which this makes sense. And I will say, it's easy to get caught up in the marketing terminology. People have had the wool pulled over their eyes. One example is Troy Baker, who basically got swindled into agreeing to promote a company that did audio NFTs because he was wildly misled on what it was. And there's actually a good episode of the podcast Play, Watch, Listen where Mike Bithell, Austin Wintory, Alana Pearson, Troy talk about this whole situation. And it is actually very, very nice to see an intelligent conversation on the subject that's not just like, this whole thing's terrible, but really explaining what's going on. And Troy later said, hey, gang, I messed up. I thought what I was signing up for was something else. I'm not working with this company. I'm out. And honestly, props to him for that. So it is easy to get mad at a lot of people who are getting into this space, but the swindling goes in a lot of directions, and a lot of the people who are hawking this aren't even entirely sure what it is, because think about it from the point of view of someone's publicist who's like, we can make you like $1 million in a week with like one tweet and putting some random algorithmically generated JPEG on an Ethereum exchange site. And these actors and actresses are probably like, I mean, sure, I don't really get it, but fine. And then the concept is usually not actually explained to them all that well. So there are some people who are genuinely malicious, but a lot of people are actually just being swindled.
I think a lot of this is like, you know, we're in kind of this position where like, you knew right off the gate that this was fucking stupid, and like a lot of the people that we follow and interact with also knew right out the gate this was a terrible idea that was already going south. So like, there was never a question in our minds whether or not this was a good thing. But lots of people with completely different social circles just don't deal with this stuff enough. Like, why would they? They're busy doing other things, going outside maybe. Hopefully not right now, but you know. And it's easy to sort of be like, the first you hear about this is a company approaching you being like, hey, do you like supporting independent artists? And you're like, obviously, I'm a decent person. And they're like, great, we're doing that. How'd you like to promote us? And then suddenly you get 5 million people jumping up your butt because it turns out you're promoting NFTs and they're garbage and bad for the environment. And like, you know, obviously, you know, there's a certain, I'd say, obligation to educate yourself on anything that you're promoting in a professional capacity. But like, you can, you know, people fuck up sometimes, and this is the kind of thing where it's like, people are in different spaces and different echo chambers, and different things are bouncing around, and a lot of them probably weren't as saturated on the this is bad actually, and just didn't know until they were informed in a more careful way, like, no, this is genuinely just really bad and will never work.
Yeah. There's also one comment pointed out that there is a chance that there's a rumor going around that there's a chance that one of the major talent agencies is linked to an NFT exchange, which is why a lot of actors are promoting NFTs seemingly in unison. Maybe if I was a conspiratorial kind of guy, I'd be like, that makes sense. But, I mean, either way, we don't need to go investigating the specific how and why. It's just like, look, when you see it, you know, let it go. Or if, you know, in a situation where you know someone who is in this or is possibly being swindled into getting into this, explain to them calmly and straightforwardly what it actually is, rather than jumping to, oh my god, it's terrible, how could you? Because a lot of people genuinely don't know what it is. And that's really the problem, is because they're so easy to mis-explain and deliberately mislead, because what it is kind of confusing if you don't really know how a lot of this technology works. So yeah, you know, NFT's bad, but don't crucify people over it. Odds are you can explain to them and they'll be like, oh wait, yeah, you know what, that isn't great. Or they're just like, yes, I know, and that's why I'm doing it. And it's like, ah ha ha, okay, that's a whole different thing. So yeah, I don't know. Anything else before we sign off? We got kind of lost on the tangent of like, if there are, you know, creators who you want to support, like, you know, go for it, but always take care of yourself first. And don't, you know, if you got to choose between lunch and a Patreon pledge, get you some food.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that especially right now, you know, almost everyone is in a very weird situation right now. Even as people are acting like things are going back to normal, you know, numbers are looking pretty promising. Things, you know, the repercussions of the last couple of years are not just going to go away. A lot of people are in very different situations than they were. A lot of people's lives have changed or are going to change as things continue to adjust. You know, take care of yourself. You really have to right now. Like, take care of each other, but you can't take care of other people unless you're also taking care of yourself. Because if you burn out, you can't help anybody, you know?
No, exactly. So, that will do it for our stream. Hopefully we'll be back in future weeks with a better setup. I think until I can figure out what's going on or get new software, we're gonna be running Robot Red through the PS5 and any times when she joins us on these AC streams. But I'm disappointed in how the tech for Streamlabs is gone. And thankfully with the PS5, the buttons are not capacitance sensors, so there's no threat of the disc ejecting like a couple streams ago where my PlayStation 4 button was just so staticky that it was like, you want to eject the disc? I'm like, I'm standing 6 feet away. I promise you I don't want to eject the disc.
It was the will of the universe. reverse.
Yeah, I explained this before, but the PS3 started with capacitance like touch sensors for power and eject, and then they changed it for the PS3 Slim because they realized it was a terrible idea and like ambient fuzz can turn it off. And then with the PS4 they went back to it, and for the PS4 Pro they fixed it again, and then for PS5 they're like, okay, we're actually going to do it right this time. So like, good on PS5.
Households both alike in dignity.
Yeah. Both alike in capacitance sensors. So, okay, thank you all so much for tuning in. We've got a new video for you on Friday. It is in the History Makers series. If you're on Patreon, you can take a look and see what's out there, get a little preview. Also, for Patreon, we uploaded all of our wallpapers for our videos, HD frames from the past month. We clocked a record today. We got 78, I think, between all the maps and drawings that we had for the past couple of videos. So if you want to get some of our fancy HD artworks in wallpaper forms that you can use, you don't need to buy a dumbass NFT. Just sign up for a Patreon if that's something that you're interested in. But otherwise, I've been Blue.
I've been Red.
And this has been an overly sarcastic stream. Later.
Are we doing this now?
I don't know. What was I supposed to do? I don't know how to end a stream.
How do we end stream?